Hey there guys, it's Helene. I'm pulling a live card for this session here. Today's Tuesday afternoon. This is the one. This is the card. What card is that? The Queen of Swords. That's a good card. So I'm going to stick this out front here. This is one of my Tarot de Marseille cards that I got recently from a French maker. They sell Tarot de Marseille, and this is the only, I think, the only Besançon that they got. I'm using this deck the whole time and I'm enjoying it hugely. It's not what I'm here for. So today's Tuesday, the 1st of June. So yay. I'm actually looking and feeling a bit more energized to the extent that I have been outside for quite a bit. The temperature is real nice. It's 25 degrees or so centigrade out there and more in the sunshine. So summer's here. All of a sudden, just like that, it's all behind us and the nature around us is pretending like, what, you really thought I wasn't going to come back for you? Apparently, she still wants to come back for us. After all that. Oh, gosh. So this is going to be some kind of a witchy check-in. Again, you know. I've got a lot of things on my mind. I've had a lot of things on my mind. In practical terms, I had my first COVID shot yesterday afternoon. It was a Moderna shot. I'm going to get another one in July somewhere, right on time for us to go on holiday. Husband, who gets AstraZeneca, needs to get his second one before the end of July somehow, so just fingers crossed for that, because we already booked a camping place, so we're going anyway. Whether they, you just gotta be lucky. It just gotta happen. So in terms of my COVID, I noticed that my husband actually had more side effects from his shot than I have of mine. I certainly do not have any fever or headache. However, I do still feel very stiff. And even though I've done quite a bit of exercising, I've had lots to drink, I've been in the bath, I've, done all the things. It doesn't seem, and also with the pleasant temperature and all that, it just doesn't seem to, I haven't done that many painkillers, so not in the past couple of hours even, I think, and only mild ones. Doesn't seem to affect it that much. So it's like I'm very stiff. It's like all my muscles are overstrained somehow. That's the only effect I really have from the shot. I was really woozy yesterday afternoon after getting the shot, nearly immediately within 10 minutes or so, and then afterwards for a couple of hours I was like, excuse me, anything? No, file not found, just nobody home. So that was a bit, I was expecting something of the sort, and it was a kind of an interesting experience to go get that shot, because that was a massive enterprise, getting this many people there, vaccinating, I don't know how many thousands, tens of thousands of people a day now in the Netherlands. And it's kind of interesting, it's, you get to this huge location somewhere out in the sticks, in an industrial area, and where I suppose they rented this location especially for all this, to happen. And there's hundreds of people just flocking by car into the location. It's like this massive, like some kind of what you call those? Like an event of some sort, a big event. But it's very quiet for being a huge event. It's very quiet. Everybody's just, traipsing, following their, in line very quietly. And inside this building, which is like this huge, yeah, just like a massive hangar, basically. There's lines, and you're not allowed to take photographs, of course, which wouldn't have been much of a point to do anyway, because it's just steel and concrete and a couple of lights. And they've got like, what I saw was like 25 actual check-in points where you're supposed to hand in your documents so they can check who you are and so on, and your appointment and all the rest of it. So it's really well organized. I felt it was actually rather cool. And especially because all those people were behaving and being, showing solidarity in a way, and without being in any way obvious about it. And so the jab itself was like no event at all. I was supposed, because I just wrote down on my form that I do have an allergy, which is completely unrelated to any of the COVID issues, to a plant, particular plant. I don't know what it is in English. It's a big, tall plant that a lot of people are sensitive to, and it's kind of irritating, and you get itchy business, if you touch that stuff too much. So the last time I touched any of those plants is 40 years ago. So it really is 40 years ago. It really is. I'm just realizing. Anyway, so I was supposed to stay after my jab, sit, for 15 minutes, just to see that I wasn't going to pass out and go crazy or do anything weird, and foam at the mouth or anything like that. And none of that happened. So like 99%, I haven't seen anything dramatic or anything noteworthy, sitting there or whatever. Everybody just started traipsing out again. So after 12 minutes or so, I decided it was fine. And so I just went back to town with husband, and we had a cup of tea and a slice of pie. Because he took the afternoon off because it was out in the sticks. So he needed to actually come home to drive me there, because I don't have a car. And there was no way in heaven or hell to get there by bus or public transport of any nature. So, yeah. So all this is fine. Actually, I'm kind of lucky, which I always feel like in times when I really need it, I tend to be lucky. And it's not something I can do anything about or that I can influence in any way. It's just the way it is, the way it goes. And in this case, I'm lucky in the manner where I was really worried last week with my menopausal excitement that I'd been having. I've been reporting to you guys about menopause things, a couple of times already, where at first I thought because I don't have any information from my female ancestors about this, about how they went through this and what happened to them, really, other than a couple of details like I've already shared with you. I was really insecure how it was going to go, and what I read on the internet, it tends to be very problematic and whatever. So I've tried my best to do as much sensible, tumo practice as possible, and use as many tools as I can to, to just stay safe and make sense, and try to be one whole person, a whole woman, if that's possible, in this world, in this time and age. So that as I spent all of last week having bleeds, I was kind of hoping that I'd be out of that by, I don't know, before actually having to get my COVID shot. So I wouldn't feel, I don't know why I was so worried even. I just didn't want the whole menstrual bleeding to go on past whatever makes sense, I didn't want it to just go on forever anyway, because it is depleting. It does deplete your strength and your forces in the end, although most of the week I was feeling really good. And here's another really witchy, to me at least, and really icky part. So I'm trying to give you a bit of a heads up here. This is like 10 minutes in, okay? I tried a thing, okay? I tried a thing. Let me have a sip of tea first. Because I was trying to sort of re-befriend the area down there, okay? My female parts. And I was realizing, okay, so in terms of energy depletion, one thing that is going to happen is iron deficiency. What with, bleeding the whole time. For 7 days in total, 6.75 of a day. So, but before that, there had been intermittent little bits of like 5% bleeds and things. So it was getting quite unpredictable and quite like what, I don't know, nothing you could really say, okay, this is the pattern, this is what it's going to be like. I still have no clue what it's going to be like in the next couple of months. So I think iron deficiency, okay. I can go to the shop and buy iron pills. I can also do something else, which is kind of scary and freaky. And, like, am I really doing this? I actually did it. I collected some of my own menstrual blood, diluted it in some tap water, and drank it. Yes, as you can see, I'm still alive. Last time I did it was Sunday, so that's 48 hours ago. Because after that, there hasn't been any bleeding to note. And I started it on the Saturday before. So I've done it like 5 times or so. It's reasonably small quantities, so it's not like, Plus, I did quite a bit of research on the internet, as I do, to see whether I wasn't going to poison myself or do anything really, It didn't feel like I was poisoning myself at all. On the contrary, it felt bloody awesome. And that's why I'm sharing it, even though I'm going to scare away half of my subscribers, my subscribers. I don't want you to go. Please don't go. Please, stick around. Because it's not that I don't want to make sense. I so want to make sense to people and to myself. So the research that I did shows me that there is actually quite a bit of iron in menstrual blood. It's not a problem in terms of, it's not like huge doses, even though the flavor is quite the flavor of iron. It's striking and significant. The amounts that I was using were like tiny with quite a bit of water added, and I lost my train of thought. That's another menopause signal right there. Okay. Apart from the iron, the important thing that I need to tell you is that apart from the iron, the sort of a substance or ingredient of this blood is stem cells. And those are actually really precious. And so these are stem cells, are cells that are in a state of, so they're very young cells that are not sort of programmed to become part of a body part yet. That's why they're called stem cells. You can look it up. Go ahead, look it up. It's quite fascinating. And so that's what I found. Menstrual blood is not toxic in any way. I would certainly advocate anybody watching this who thinks this might be a good idea for themselves. You should only ever use your own. Ever. That's just the way that feels to me. It just makes sense only to use your own. I don't think even twin sisters would be able to use each other's blood to the same effect. That would be an interesting witchy experiment among healthy people with no other problems, okay? But the effect for me was, you know how you sometimes can have this intense, like, and I'm not talking chocolates or sugar or anything like that, anything simple like that. I'm talking about a craving for a food that actually has some type of a property. I have this occasionally with nuts or with fish and salmon and that kind of thing, where I just stuff my face. I can just, apparently, lettuce as well. And one huge candidate for this kind of a craving for me is grapefruit. Grapefruit, freshly pressed grapefruit juice. There's some kind of constituent, some kind of ingredient in there that I just need, and my body is shouting for it. Similar to that kind of a feel, and the strongest the first couple of times that I did this, and then afterward it just kind of sort of receded. It wasn't as potent anymore or as specific. It felt like a very interesting sort of a frontier gray area between what's nutritional and food related and what is psychological and emotional. For me, it felt like the total 100% full-on acceptance of my female nature, of the female carrier that I am, also, as well as being a person and a soul and all the rest of it, and a history and all that. Full-on acceptance, like no conditions acceptance, and that felt amazing. It was just such an intense feedback, kind of a positive feedback loop going from my underbelly to my heart, and my mind was kind of like, oh wow, look what's happening here. And it was just saying it was okay. It didn't have a role to play all that much, except now where I have to tell you guys about this. So it was crucial, and it was like also like a very small event, and I think it helped me to come to terms with this whole acceptance, because as much tumo as I can be doing, at some point you just have to surrender to all these female energies anyway, to this whole cycle and all the stuff, you know. For me, that's the only way forward, is to just at some point just give up. You know, I just, okay, go ahead, do your thing, and there's nothing more to be said really. So it was quite interesting. I've also felt it to be interesting that I was using my, is this one of them? Yes. My graveyard dirt beeswax mixes. So these have got essential oils in them, graveyard dirt, and witch's powder, so brick powder. Such potent stuff. This I have worn like here or in my pocket 2/3 of the time, all of last week, and it has helped me also in many ways, in ways that I can't begin to describe, to reconnect with, which is the theme. It's been my theme for 5 years now, for more than 5 years, reconnecting with, but by now it's actually reconnecting with the way things feel, not only for me but also for other people, for my ancestors, so also for my female ancestors who I didn't get to talk to about the menopause campaign, you know, plan. What's the plan? What are you supposed to do with all this stuff? Is there a point where you have to surrender to what's happening to you? Is there a point where you have to say, okay, I really need to make me some herbal teas, and these are the teas that you can use. I've used sage, and I've ordered, and they're coming today probably, Oh, dread. I don't. Lady's Mantle? Yes, I think that's the word. Lady's Mantle is at least one of the names, one of the popular names for a herb, Alchemilla. Alchemilla vulgaris, I think, which is a plant that has been used since forever for females to, have their cycle business, soothe and bring quiet in there. So the other thing that I myself have done over the past weeks, 2 weeks or so, 1.5 week really, with this whole thing, was to sort of also reintegrate the Tumo energy that I keep having or keep inviting, with my Tumo practice, reintegrating that back downwards into my female organs. And that's been quite helpful as well, where what I found interesting most of all was to be able to sort of dial down the Tumo energy from the state that it becomes in here, which is like extraordinarily potent, but more comparable to, say, chili pepper, for example. That's too much for your innards. Down there, what they needed was like a keyed down, slowed down, comparable to cinnamon, for example, kind of an energy. So if you go from peppery and hot and fiery and purposeful and burning kind of an energy, you want to be able to key that down, to just dial it way down to something that is just, and that's apparently possible. I have no clue how I did this. If I ever figure it out, I will tell you all about it. But it was just, it was helpful because I could sort of feel how the energy was affecting my female organs and see at which point I had it sufficiently, I don't know, cooled down. Cooled down isn't really the word. It's more like solidified and, I don't know, structured or controlled to such a level that it actually became something that the female organs can use, all of them. And so there's like channels going from the Dantian, energy channels going from the first Dantian downwards again, whereas a lot of our female problems during our lives from puberty onwards are caused by a lack of energy in our lives, emotionally, blockages of all sorts, which occur during our cycle, during our menstrual and hormonal cycle at different points, because what happens is that the Shakti energy is hijacked by the uterus immediately. And so it goes in through the root chakra and boom into the female organs, and it's absorbed as Shakti energy, which is fine if you are making babies. But if you want to not make babies and or have a life where babies aren't the product, you need other things to get done, and any of a gazillion other things that you might want to get done. At that point, this is a problem. It becomes this huge problem that all your Shakti or your life force is going floop into your reproductive system, and you don't have a say about it. So there's one massive benefit of doing Tumo for people of the female persuasion, where you sort of realign this stuff to go along the spine, around the back of everything, towards the Dantian, make it happen that the Shakti becomes Tumo energy in your belly and in the rest of you as much as you need it. And you can still send it downwards again afterwards, from the Dantian back to the female organs. so they get the replenishment that they need. It's a yoga. You just have to keep it, doing it a couple of times and focus and, keep at it. And I think I figured it out at least 2/3 of the way so far for myself. I'm quite hopeful in the sense that the whole bleeding business has stopped for now, it looks like. So that's been, I don't know, 36 hours or so that I've been more or less bleed free, completely, over that. Maybe 24 hours, but I would say it's completely over. And I've no clue when it's gonna start again. I will have to keep track. I'm having let me see if I can find that for you real quick. I have a little moon book. Here it is, with beads on the back, that I used to track my cycle. I actually went back because I wrote down in my journal, so my normal, regular, everyday journal, my dates, so my menstruation dates, and I started calculating because I was getting freaked out by irregularities and things. I copied the dates out from my journal into this. One conclusion I reached when was this? In early April when I did this, was that for every 12 months, I actually have 14 menstrual cycles. 14, yes. So that was kind of weird. And I'd noticed often that my cycle was shorter than 28. But then again, also 28 days, quite often, in batches of getting my period on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. Dead straight, dead predictable. So I hadn't figured that there was actually going to be 14 to a year. So that was kind of strange. And then after that, it started, in this year, it started getting more irregular. And by now, I have no clue what to expect. So it may be because it was a sort of a 6-week period without any menstruation, and then it all came back, which was actually, it made me feel much better, and I feel a lot cleaner. I feel like I've got a lot of stuff out of my system. And maybe because I was paying extra double attention to it and to the way I felt, and, being much more alert to myself and to what I was doing, instead of only always what I used to do up until before, like what is it, 2 months ago, I only felt that the whole hormonal cycle was a nuisance. It was just one massive nuisance. It wasn't part of my life. And it still feels weird to be saying that it is a part of my life now that it's actually leaving me. So, but I think it makes a lot of sense for me to be saying this, that I'm what with tracking how this goes, what it is that I need. I have to take care of myself, and I have to make sure I don't go to pieces. I have been quite scared of hitting some kind of an auto-destruct button along the line here because of lacking, information from my female ancestors. And I think I'm not the only one out there who just doesn't, speak to your mom enough or have any intel. You just don't have any intel. So the other fairly witchy kind of a thing that I did, which isn't icky anymore. If there's more ickiness, I will je vais te prévenir. I have a French holiday planned, so there may occasionally be French words. I will not prevent you. I will warn you beforehand, okay, about the ickiness. Prévenir means I will warn you in French. So, yeah. So I've got charts, astrological charts, synastries of 2 charts each. My mom and her mother, my grandmother and her mother, and a couple of ones back and forth. And my great-grandmother is in here as well. All in the female line. I still have to look at those. I printed them out. I made them. I looked up. I found one time of birth for my grandmother, actually. She was born at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which I don't think I knew. So I will have an ascendant for her and the houses, a set of houses, which is kind of interesting. And other than that, I will still have to look at things. I found one striking kind of a... Is that even possible? Hang on, you guys. I just have to check this now. Okay, I can see why I messed this up. Yeah, okay. That was my bad. I had a very strange looking conjunction right there, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. I still don't get why I get one moon here and one moon there. Oh yes, it's just that because there's a couple of days in between. I messed up. I was so woozy in my brain that I have to reprint those. It was striking that there were two north nodes for a different generation person, you know, like 25 years before. The north node was in the same position. That's not right. Okay, so I'll have to do this again. Check it. It's not a problem. Computer is upstairs. I can just go back up and print that thing and see to get this done. I'm interested in the relationships between those people, the focus of interest of those women, and the sort of strengths and weaknesses that they've got. I think that's my bottom line for my charts here, for my female ancestors. Because they did have, some of them had really quite, compared to what we think is normal nowadays, they had really limited lives. And they had big, big challenges. So parts of it I already know a lot about, and I've talked about also. That's half an hour, okay? I think in terms of witchy check-in, that nearly is it. Other than my fantastic holiday plans, I've got all sorts of great stuff planned. And we will be enjoying ourselves. It looks like it's going to happen. So, you know, Black Mother statues, mountains, hills, herb picking, Provence, markets and olives and all that good stuff. But not quite yet. It's still a couple of months away. So, lots of fun, you know, already. And, oh yeah, maybe I can show you this. This is a piece of sandstone that I found. It won't really show the color all that much. This is actually more of a lavender gray type color than it will show on the camera. As you can see, it has like a pattern in there of almost like a figure. This is the other side. This one I took with me from the south of France and I polished it on the side. It was nearly this shape, but I polished it kind of to show this pattern as much as possible. And this is the only piece I think that I've got. This type of sandstone is used for pigments, which I've talked about on my channel. I've used red, like ochre, red pigment, which looks more like a rusty color a lot in my paintings. Actually, this is all too pink compared to that, but there's like a million colors, and it's such beautiful stuff. And the rocks are beautiful. There's even shades of bluish lilac, lavender type rocks with yellow and pink patterns. It's to die for, all of it. And lots of the scenery in that countryside and parts of the countryside, which is where we'll be going, has, it's more that red and yellow color, like orangey, red Colorado color. It's gorgeous. And so you'd just be driving through all that and stopping every 500 meters to, you know, check out more scenery and herbs and stuff. So it's going to be awesome. So that's my plan. That's one of the reasons I'm going back there. I have very deep personal reasons to want to go back there. We were going to go to Brittany to try to, because for us it's just, driving south, any of a number of options going south from here. It's like this option or that option. You can visit all of Europe from where I'm sitting here, which is something I enjoy hugely, and my husband as well. But if you go to Brittany, it's like nearly 1,000 kilometers from here. You really have to make a choice. You have to decide. If you have 2.5 weeks time, you have to decide, am I going this way or am I going that way? It's the same distance to Brittany or to Marseille. And we quickly came to the conclusion last week that we were going to change our plans because sunshine and vibes, cypress trees and fragrance and forests and general relaxation is the plan, because I already thought 2 months ago that I was completely burnt out as I'm sitting here with my vlogging and all my weird stuff, I thought I was falling apart on the inside. And what with now, it looks like we're on the right track here, and you just have to, go forge ahead anyway. So yeah, so I think that's enough from my Queen of Swords card here today. I bought me a piece of fabric to make a bag for it's right over there. Show you the fabric. Hang on. Pooh, it looks like plastic. It's not plastic, it's nearly plastic. Very synthetic nylon Chinese stuff with quilted, like that. This was the piece, and I got it for free at the shop. It was just lying there. So I'm going to stitch this around and keep my Tarot de Besançon in there. That will just look very French, very summery and happy and so on. And that way my tarot can come with us. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I managed to talk to you for nearly 40 minutes. I'm going to go sit back outside, go back to my novel, because nearly at the end of my tether here. Thank you for watching, and hopefully by the end of the week I'll manage to create another Tumo lesson. I have that planned, definitely. So I'm not completely sure how that's going to go yet, but by tomorrow I'll be feeling up to it, I think. So for whoever wants it, thank you for being here, you guys. I love you 2 pieces. Okay, see you next time. Bye for now.